Thank you.
Testing.
Cool. All right, we'll get underway. I have the pleasure of being your moderator. I've brought with me a lovely panel, and I can confirm that we are here and very excited to look forward to speaking to you this afternoon. I hope everyone's well. Guys in the audience, you have a good afternoon? Yeah, there was a solitary clap there. It sounds like we've got some real engagement at the front. Thank you very much, guys. Come on, let's get a little bit of excitement. We've got a really hot topic today. It's all about UX, how people are going to be interacting and playing and utilizing crypto. We are sound desk one microphone short up on stage. If there's a spare one, please. And just before we get kicking off, I thought I'd introduce you guys to my wonderful panel. Me? Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh.
That's yours?
That's mine.
That's yours?
See, this is what happens when you don't show up to the sound desk and get briefed properly. Okay, guys, let's get underway. So my name is Ryan, and I am your moderator for this afternoon. As you can see by my lovely profile photo, I look like the Wunder logo. And so Wunder is a decentralized social network, and we believe that verification is essential to people having a positive experience online. And so we want to create a Web2 experience fueled and unlocked by blockchain technology. And that involves lots of amazing things like content ownership, so people can create content, own it, tokenize it in the right way, and share it with their communities. Verification, as I've mentioned, and building out a really slick and easy-to-use social media experience. So I'm excited to host this wonderful panel. And we are not quite sat under our pictures, but Michael, the CEO of Venga, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hey guys, very happy to be here. Thanks for the introduction. I'm Michael Stroev. I'm the CEO at Venga. Venga is a cryptocurrency app, centralized cryptocurrency app, with the goal of taking innovations from DeFi and Web3 and bringing those innovations to the masses. So let me give you an example. I work in crypto. I've been in the crypto space professionally since 2020. If I wanted today discover what is happening in the space and like vet projects, I need to spend hours on crypto Twitter researching, or I need to go to events like these ones and talk to loads of people, discover what's happening, and then I need to go and vet these projects and kind of go through a due diligence process. Now, take an average traditional consumer. How do you do that? How does he do that? What does he look at? What are the red flags, right? How do you do your due diligence? And imagine the time it takes for you to do that. So in essence, Venga is here to change that, to make all these things, to do all these things for traditional users, and basically bring all these innovations to the masses, right? By making them simple to use from within one application. I come from a product background, so I'm intrinsically involved in UX, UI, and all of the design of my app. So I'm very happy to be here today and share my thoughts.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Welcome to the stage. Okay, next up we have the wonderful Pragmatic Monkey from the Rujira network.
Hey guys, nice being here. So I'm a Pragmatic Monkey. You can call me PM for simplicity. I'm one of the project lead at Rujira. What we are building is effectively the omni-chain app layer on top of Thorchain. So what does omni-chain means? Effectively, thanks to the unique Thorchain technology, it allows us to create this complete suite of DeFi apps that will be available with native assets from all connected chains on Thorchain. So for example, like you have currently 9 blockchains connected to Thorchain, many more to come this year and the year after that. And one of the big ones, of course, is Bitcoin, which doesn't have smart contracts. And for the first time in history, thanks to Rujira, you will be able to do DeFi with native Bitcoin without having to use any wrap version by any centralized intermediary or any bridge version via third-party bridges. We use Thorchain technology to do that. And so you will be able to do things like from one transaction with Bitcoin in your Bitcoin wallet, put a limit order to sell your Bitcoin in our order book DEX, or take a loan and receive in a few blocks later USDC on Base. These kind of things, not just from Bitcoin, but from all connected chains. And we are packaging all that into a complete, unified user interface that will give users effectively a very nice UX where they can do everything in one single place, just like on a centralized exchange, without having to navigate through a lot of different websites and having to deal with all this complexity of bridging and wrapping and all those things. So that's what we are up, and glad to dig into more.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Next up on the panel, we have the wonderful Serena Leung from TooBit.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Serena from TooBit. So TooBit is a centralized exchange. We launched at end of 2022, and we are backed by Huobi Global and Bybit. And now we support futures trading, spot trading, and copy trading. And we also have some trading bots like Futures DCA and Martingale. And we provide like very simple trading experience for our users. So it's basically just to register your accounts and deposit your crypto assets, and then so you can just start your trading journey without any problems. And we also support buy crypto with your fiat currency. So basically now we support Simplex, ADV Cash, and MoonPay. All you need to do is just like you authorize your bank account, and then you can buy USDT or BTC, whatever assets you want from your bank accounts. So yeah, and we also value localization as our strategy. That's why we are here, and we wanna like to increase our exposure in specific regions. Yeah.
Nice one. Thank you very much. Welcome to the panel. And last, but by no means least, we have Derek E. Silva from Reef.
Thank you very much. The Reef is a layer 1 blockchain. It runs on the Substrate framework. It runs an EVM on top. It runs incredibly affordably, really low hardware requirements. But our big focus is actually making incredibly easy to get on-chain. Getting on-chain is still too hard. It's been 7 years that I've been in this industry full-time, and it's still way too hard. So we're focusing really hard on overhauling the user experience for our mobile app so that sometime in the very near future, definitely before the end of the year, in less than 5 minutes, I want you to be able to download the app, get an account, fund it, and then start having some fun on-chain. Whether you're playing games, whether you're trading tokens, whether you're lending and earning money or what have you, I want that process to be incredibly easy and fast, more of a Web2 experience in a positive way. And we've been here talking to lots of builders, talking to people who could potentially help us create a new grants program and things like that. So if you're interested in getting in on a small fledgling ecosystem, give me or talk to me after. And we also have lots of T-shirts and bottle openers to give away.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So here we go. These are your runners and riders for the next 37 minutes. We will leave about 5 minutes at the end for questions for the audience. So if you've got any Q&As that you think of during the session, we'll make sure there's time at the end for you to answer those. So I'm really excited with the composition of this panel. We've got some people who are here to simplify things. We've got some blockchain here. We've got some education going on within the blockchain. And so I guess we'll start really broad, and then we'll start to get into it. So I'm new to the Web3 space. I've been in the Web3 space for just over 2 months now. I come from TikTok, which is a small app you may have heard of. I'm here with Wunder trying to build and develop a social media app within the Web3 space, right? And so what I don't understand is the UX within Web3 is super complex and super confusing in most cases. Why is that? Why do you think Web3 UX is a problem that we're all trying to fix individually in our different ways, but why is it a problem to start with?
I think I'll take this one. Just say something like I kind of mentioned this in my introduction, but basically I think one of the biggest problems in our space today is still education, right? How do you what is crypto? What are blockchain networks? What is the wallet address? How do you store and keep a seed phrase secure? Like all of these things are super complicated to a traditional user who has never been in this space. So it requires a lot of time for someone to get on board and start using crypto the way that we do, right? That's why actually, I was at a conference one day and I heard someone say, at the end of the day, every single person who is a crypto native or like a super, let's say DeFi person, everyone always goes back to CeFi because at the end of the day, they need simplicity, they need access to euros and all of these things, right? You can't always be super decentralized like that. So for me, the biggest problem, and this is attached to the UX and the UI, is education. Because again, you have education, you know how to use all these things, then you can probably navigate the world of Web3 better.
Yeah, fully agree. I think education is a nice way to sum it up. For me, I will break down the problem in 3 categories. First one is fragmentation. you have fragmentation of liquidity. Like if you use Solana, you will have to be on certain blockchain. If you use Bitcoin, it's another one. Ethereum or EVM, you will have like a large number of blockchain. Fragmentation of wallets as well, depending on which environment you are with, you will have to use a different wallet. It's a pain. And you also have to get to use bridges and this kind of things that adds unnecessary complexity and risks. And fragmentation of user interface as well, like usually like, so it's a permissionless world, which is great, but you end up in a world where you get a lot of different apps doing a lot of different things, and as a user, you need to navigate through all those different tabs, all those different websites, and it's not really great. So fragmentation is the core of the pain. Then on top of that, well, what this fragmentation creates effectively is complexity. Complexity, well, you can break down complexity into two things. You have complexity just due to this fragmentation, but you also get complexity in the sense like, at the end, we have super advanced DeFi tools, thanks to blockchain technology. We can do very, very cool, very advanced strategies that up to now were never available to the mass. However, to execute on those strategies, it's also a lot of complexity. Not everyone, well, it's very easy to provide liquidity on a LP on Uniswap, for example, and make a bit of yield. But if you start to do just something a bit more advanced, you want to hedge your impermanent loss risk, then suddenly it's not everyone that can do that. So we also get a lot of complexity in the term of what we can do with that need to be abstracted away. And third point that I think is a much broader vision about what we are trying to build here. And to me, like crypto is really like we are trying to build an alternative economic system, financial and economic system for the world. And crypto can only win if we move beyond crypto. If we keep just being like a crypto native people doing crypto stuff and buying and selling crypto tokens, we are not going anywhere. What we want eventually is to see a new breed of entrepreneur come and decide to launch their business on using blockchain rails, not because they are a crypto business. No, they are just a traditional business, whatever they want to do, be it a coffee cart or a restaurant. We want them to come and to choose to build on DeFi rail because it offers them an easier access to a financial system, to a way to receive payments and to make payments, to have real-time accounting on-chain, to have access to fundraise from the start, from the startup, to have access to market making and internalize this revenue instead of giving it away to a market maker. All those amazing stuff that we can do with blockchain, but for that we need to build much better tooling that really make it possible in the first place for traditional businesses to onboard and to choose to build on DeFi rails.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point of like the ideology of Web3 is so pure and it's so appealing, but the complexity of it is what puts people off. I think, Derek, you had a point on that.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to a more fundamental level of that's the way it was designed. we're like, MetaMask is the way it was, my Ether wallet, my crypto back in 2017, 2018. That's literally the way it was designed. And so you see newer initiatives like Abstract Chain trying to remove some of that complexity from the core, and that's great. I haven't used the chain yet, not because I don't want to. I haven't found a compelling reason to, which is one of the big things I've been talking about this week, is about bringing cool stuff on chain and obviously making it discoverable in a really easy way. And hopefully Venga can do some of that. But ultimately, you know, I consult for a DEX aggregator that just switched from using the permit function to allow their smart contract to allocate tokens on your behalf to a different model and then back to permit 2. It's like that, you know, at the end of the day, that's unnecessary complexity in a lot of ways for the end user. They don't care. They're there for a reason, and bothering them ultimately with transactions like that and having to reapprove tokens, you know, that the smart contract can move your tokens and things like that causes complexity and a desire to go back to CeFi eventually when things like that happen. So ultimately, the problem is this is the way it was designed. You need to give smart contracts permission to use your tokens on your behalf and what have you. And that's a great security mechanism, so I don't want it to see it go away. But we've just, in the last year, last maybe 2 years, started to solve that with much better messages to end users about what's happening when they if they hit approve. And sometimes that can be faked, which also needs to be dealt with. And there are better security tools to help simulate what's about to happen and that sort of thing. But those messages need to be consistent. They need to be clear. If we're not going to move away from that security model, which, as I said, is good. I like it. But that whole process needs to be easier. So if we're not going to change the underlying tech, make things super clear, make it easy to read. If we are going to change the underlying tech, do our best not to compromise the security, but still, make things easier for people ultimately.
Yeah, standardization and just, we talk about it a lot at Wunder about hiding the wires and making it, people don't necessarily want to know about the technology they're using, they want to see the benefits of it and not get bogged down in the features, which is something that happens a lot, I think, in the Web3 space. Serena, do you have anything you wanted to add on that?
Yeah, so regarding about like DeFi products, so it's like new users come to this industry, they need to know how to create a wallet. And then they need to know like which chain they're exactly to trade. And then you need to maybe bridge, or you need to authorize from some kind of apps. But I'm saying like from a user trading behavior. So from centralized exchange, users just like need to confirm which chain they are going to use. For example, they are going to withdraw USDT. So if you're going to choose BSC or Ethereum or Polygon, then all you need to do is just to confirm the network, and then your deposit or withdrawal just succeed. And if you have any problems, our 24/7 hours like customer service are here to help. But if you're in DeFi, like all you need to do, you need to be responsible for all your behaviors. Like it's your wallet, and like all your trading behaviors are on chain, and then you need to know exactly you do like in this space. So there's like no one that you can contact to, like why my USDT is not arrived, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's making sure people feel they treat their digital wallet in the same way they would treat their physical wallet, right? You always know where it is, Michael.
Yeah, I wanted to say, and add to what I said before and what everyone said here. So on one side you have education, and on the other side you have complexity. But also, and to kind of contradict myself, even if you have education, it doesn't necessarily mean that you solve the complexity part. And I can give an example. I'll try and keep it short. My brother has been in crypto for a while. Like he was mining ETH at the time. And like this year, at a certain point, I call him, I'm like, hey, send me some USDC on Solana. And that was a full stop. He hit a wall. He's like, okay, wait a minute. What, how, I'm on ETH, I have ETH. Can I send you ETH? I'm like, no, I need USDC on Solana. And it was just, so at the end of the day, like at the end of the whole story, after like, I don't know how many conversations, I was just send me ETH. That's it, just send me ETH, full stop. So yeah, like again, your education does not always beat the complexity. We need to work on the complexity side of things as well.
So I guess the question is then, how can crypto projects simplify that onboarding process for new users who are new to blockchain technology and unfamiliar with it? I think, Derek, you had something to say on that.
Yeah, so I think part of that is, even if you just do it within your own ecosystem, using terms that people are familiar with, and then pair that up with a little bit of education, right? So like we could have a new onboarding screen in the Reef mobile app that says like, you're going to create a wallet. This is like an account on your online banking site or something like that. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't need to be super complex, but you can help pair that back with something that they already recognize, they already understand. And same with like you're backing up your passphrase. This is like your password to your online banking. Don't frickin' lose it. Don't give it to anybody else, because if I don't bank at Scotiabank, so if I gave somebody my Scotiabank client card number and my password, guess what? I'm going to lose my money, and rightfully so, because that's a dumb thing to do. Same thing. So I think we start to tie that back to things they know and things that people have been learning, like terms they've already been learning for 20 years, 25 years. 30 years now. And make that process easier to understand as they go without adding too much context. I think that will go a long way. And I've said before, we have the benefit of making our mobile app for our own chain. And there are some other really, really nice apps like Zerion, or wallet apps like Zerion, Coinbase Wallet, Rainbow, but they're all multi-chain. And so the deficit there is that they don't have a reason to push you in one direction and get you done in that one direction. They want you to get you on chain and then what? Hopefully you have a reason already. But that's part of what we're going to be doing at Reef is just tying things back to Web 2, helping people understand what is a wallet, and ultimately, hopefully, embedding everything they need to get from A to Z or 0 to 1 right in the mobile app, so that they don't need to jump around to 3 or 4 different places and then finally go do what they actually want to do. Go swap tokens, go lend money, what have you. We've got to make it really, really easy, or at least a lot easier than it is now. And that's not something you do overnight, but I think it's certainly doable and possible. And where regulatory-wise you can't embed certain things in the mobile app, show them the options at least, and send them elsewhere if you absolutely have to.
Yeah, I think so. It's raising the floor of knowledge so people can understand and making it easily and digestible for people, right? So I guess with that in mind then, where do things like tutorials come into this? And I guess also whose responsibility is that, right? So we can all say that we think standards need to be agreed and need to be followed, and education needs to happen to help with this mass adoption, to democratize Web3 technology to the masses. But then whose responsibility is that? Where do those tutorials come from? Do they come from individual businesses, or is there a need for like a regulatory body to bring together to raise standards? What do we think?
I think regulatory body that's very far out.
No thanks.
That's very, very far out. I mean, us, like we're a CeFi app, right? So we don't have any of those. Our users don't have any of those problems with seed phrases and all these things. But what we do focus on as a centralized application is user experience and design, and that's like what I've been focusing on for the past 5 years now, right? Is making the user experience seamless, making the design absolutely amazing and easy to use, and that it's a fit for every single user out there. And I'm a huge advocate as well of education through user experience and design. So think of it this way: you can have education where we, say, hey, do you want to learn about this new blockchain? Click on learn more, and it takes you to a blog article, and then you have a massive blog article that you need to read. Or you can have education built in directly in the app, in the UI interface, right? That educates you very quickly and tells you about the project, what you need to know about it, why use it, what the risks are, et cetera, et cetera. If you want to learn more, then of course you have the blog and the YouTube videos and all of that, right? But so I'm an advocate of simplifying the UX, UI, and having education through user experience and design.
Makes a lot of sense.
No, fully agree with that. I think for me, like the way we make it easier for end users is, twofold. First, with better tech and better UX. On better tech, like for us, I preaching for my own tone, but what we do at Rujira effectively is we are abstracting away all this concept of fragmentation of liquidity, wallet, and chain by becoming omni-chain. And what I mean by omni-chain, as opposed to multi-chain, so having a lot of deployment in a lot of different ecosystems, for us, it's the other way around. You can connect your wallet no matter from which ecosystem you come, and no matter where your funds are, as long as it's a chain connected to Thorchain, you can directly come, and it's seamless. You connect your wallets, and you will be able to use the apps. We don't discriminate on any of the wallets or source of funds. And then it's also a matter of better UX, and so that's really like, there are small details, but I think it's exactly what you were saying, that you want to make it very intuitive and very progressive. Like whenever there is an important step, like you just have the right tooltip here and there, the right pops-ups that tell you little by little what you need to do and what you need to be aware of. And if you want to dig deep, then you have tutorials and stuff that are linked easily. But it's really like just integrating nicely and flawlessly for all the little steps, making sure that the user is and all the time. And so I don't think, like you're asking about regulation, I don't think regulation ever helped to make things better for anyone but the one that are in charge of making the rules and the one in charge of applying them, and all the industries that are burgeon around that. But I think actually as an industry, as participants there, we all have an interest in trying to standardize a bit practice, and I think open source is great for that. And as we grow and as we identify pain points, like we're just making sure that we all share best practice and we all learn from each other instead of just trying to be siloed as it tends to be. I mean, for us, at least, given we are connected to all those chains, also put us in a great position to be able to learn from best practice from each of those different ecosystems, and then anything good we can see, we can also replicate into our own omni-chain environments.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. We talk a lot about human-led design and just making things really intuitive for people, and I think that is essential for just guiding people through what is that complexity. And we talk about regulation, and before we came on stage, we were talking about MiCA, and whilst there is benefits to it, there's also challenges that come to that when you're a small business going through such sizable audits. So it's a real balancing act to find. But I think the other thing as well to acknowledge is that within the complexity and within the confusion, there's a lot of opportunities for individuals to be nefarious actors and to make money within that, which is what makes it so hard to raise standards as well in certain ways. So we just have to go to that being really aware, and standardization is really important. Doing it without regulation is really hard because it leaves lots of gray areas for people to play into and come into it. Serena, I guess so. How can crypto projects simplify that onboarding process? What advice would you be giving to them? And how can people who are unfamiliar with blockchain become more familiar through that onboarding journey?
So, crypto platforms often require users to manage their own risk. Like, you need to understand blockchain technology, navigating DeFi protocols. But this steep learning curve creates a major barrier to mass adoption. So, crypto projects must focus on optimizing this onboarding process to make it as intuitive as possible. For TooBit, we make it's more like a traditional approach. It's more like a Web2 experience. But we are talking about like onboarding experience. It's more about identifying. Scientifically, it's like which might like a bit cause a drop-off. So it's like all you need to do, for example, like you're going to use TooBit platform. It's a centralized trading platform. You could just use like email address or phone number to register your account. And if you're new, you don't have any crypto assets, you can just buy from your bank account. But if you are already like have your own crypto assets, you can just deposit from another platform. So we are already optimizing this process to make it as easy as possible. So users using this platform, they're not like feel like, oh, I'm using some kind of like Web3. It's like very new, something new to me. I'm just like using something like Amazon, like just like I'm shipping something. So we are trying to make this trading experience as more like effortless as just like they're using a traditional fintech app.
That makes sense. And I guess thinking along those lines, is there a way that more established brands can facilitate that education with partnerships? Is there a role we can play to Web2 giants, bringing them in to help with that education? I know, Derek, you touched on the kind of the pointing out where a wallet is like opening a bank account. Is there more of those partnerships that businesses should be looking at and expanding on?
Sure. Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, obviously you should have at least a little bit of that documentation on your own website, in your blog, do videos, things like that to help people learn the way they prefer to learn, podcasts, etc. That's all relatively easy to do. There are a lot of good education platforms out there. Some of them are a little bit more expensive than others to partner with. But if they have a decent user base and you want to reach that user base, obviously that's a marketing spend ultimately that might benefit you, and getting that information out there. It's also sometimes just good to see it from another person's perspective, to see how they would explain your app, your protocol, your chain, etc., your centralized exchange, so to their user base. I've done that before with some other projects to varying degrees of success. So I don't do a lot of it right now, but yeah, like it's better to put that stuff out in a more conversational tone as well. As opposed to, I think a more authoritative tone or a teaching tone all the time. It doesn't have to be like that. Some people just don't like that tone. So, if you write a certain way or if you speak a certain way on a video or an audio format, then that can go a long way. And we've had people who are part of the Reef community for years. And we launched a bridge 2 weeks ago, and they're like, okay, how do I do this? And it's like, yeah, you need to explain it to you, because all you've been doing is just trading tokens on a centralized exchange. And whereas my big thing is, okay, come use the chain. I don't care if right now all you do is stake your tokens. Cool, that's fine. But you've done something on chain, and you're helping secure the chain at the same time. So yeah, we still have people who have been at this in the industry, quote unquote, for years, and they don't actually know how to use dApps yet. So that's part of my big thing, is actually teaching people how to use things on chain.
That's it. And I think category advertising, which is essentially what this is helping raise that floor, becomes so important. And this is where you need, all people to be pulling in the same direction to help set those standards and help people on the journey. Serena, you were going to add something to that, I think.
I was just going to say, we have some of our partners who are doing the education side. So they are starting their own educational course to teach people how are you going to use the platform and how are you going to into the Web3. Yeah, there are many influencers doing that.
Yes, exactly. Well, that's a whole other category with how KOLs are doing that. Maybe that's one for another day. I guess what would be great to discuss now and give some insight to the audience here today, who in Web3 do you think is doing a really good job of this? Obviously, we know that you guys at Venga and Rujira are doing a great job for it. Who else do you see that is doing a really great job of combining great UX with combining the technology and really reducing that fragmentation? Stunned silence.
I can give a good example. I think, at least for me, over the past year, in terms of, let's say, DeFi project that I've seen that, in my opinion, had the best UX UI I've ever seen in a decentralized form is Polymarket. So really, for me, Polymarket, when I got onto it, all the steps from generating my Polymarket wallet, depositing there, trading, right? Actually, betting, right? Essentially, right? Buying predictions, has been just such a seamless and amazing experience. And honestly, the team who works at Polymarket, shout out to them, kudos. For me, they're one of the best projects out there in terms of UX UI, in DeFi specifically.
Nice. Any more?
Yeah, no, I think Polymarket is a great example. They have been really doing a great job at abstracting it away and attracting non-crypto users to use their product. So kudos to this team. I think another obvious big success story at the moment is Hyperliquid. And I think they do offer a nice experience when it comes to trading pairs. But of course, it comes with its own challenges. And so they had to do a lot of sacrifice on the decentralization front and on the security front. And even if now they present trading with native Bitcoin, reality is it's a multi-sig with just I think 3 signers or something like that. So it still comes at a big cost in terms of you have a trade-off between security and decentralization versus UX. And I think that's what we're trying to feel here. But yeah, they have been doing a good job at onboarding a lot of users and offering a great UX for a specific product.
Nice. Serena, anyone smashing it for you?
Not this question.
Not yet. We'll keep your eyes peeled. Derek?
I think Farcaster has actually done a pretty good job, or the whole Warpcast protocol. But Farcaster especially is... No, wait, other way around. Farcaster protocol, Warpcast app? There's the problem. Okay. Anyway, I think I've got a big W on my home screen. So the Warpcast app, anyway, the Farcaster protocol. I think
Warpcast app.
Warpcast app, there we go.
On
The Farcaster
yeah.
protocol has done a really good job of decentralized social media, very X, or this old X type experience. There's discoverability, there's communities, there's things like that. I really like that. I don't use it often enough, but that's my own fault. I like the Zerion mobile app, and even the browser extension is I dumped MetaMask for it a few months ago, finally, because I found something I could actually tolerate using every day. The mobile app's really good as well, and a lot for Reef to learn there. Coinbase does a decent job with discoverability of things to actually do on chain. It's a lot of this coin's up, this coin's down. Maybe you want to trade it, which I don't, and inevitably those are typically on base. But they do actually make it easier to look at categories of apps that they've filtered out and curated, and things like that. And but family, shout out to Stani Kulichov and the team at Avara. It looks gorgeous. I haven't had the pleasure of using it yet, but it looks really, really nice. And then I was trying to remember which launchpad or IDO platform. I'm in the Discord server, but I can't remember the name. Anyway, there are some IDO platforms that obviously help fundraise for a variety of projects, and those apps have gotten much, much easier to use over the last few years as well. So kudos to that whole industry. And unfortunately, I don't want to pull up my phone right now. It's going to look dumb. But yeah, anyway, there are a few different
There's some good examples like that. I think also the UX as well plays into that. So obviously at Wunder, we're in that kind of building space at the minute, and making things easy to build is so helpful. So we're partnering a lot with Dynamic.xyz for wallet integration, and that whole system of plugging it in is just saving us so much time on the development side. And so Kane, our CTO, is here somewhere, and he's always raving about how much simpler that's made it, and the time saved. And not only is it a great user experience for the end user, it's great for the builder as well. And I think that plays into it as well, because again, building in this space is a complicated business, right? And so what we can do to help expedite that and share the learnings and set those standards becomes really, really important.
If I can just jump on that, like I think that's very key. Creating good tool for builders is fundamental, and that's one of the things we have been really focusing on as part of Rujira. We have developed like this UI toolkits full of tools that will allow builder to very easily be able to abstract away all the complex stuff like wallet connections, and in our case, from all those connected chains, from all those different wallets. So it means that effectively, for a builder, like if you build on Rujira, you can deploy once on Rujira. You don't even have to handle yourself of those wallet collection and balance fetching things. It's all there in open source format for you to reuse the components, and you can deploy once and get your app instantly accessible from 9 connected chain and more soon. So yeah,
it's a big
tooling
time
for builder is key.
Amazing. Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to do one more question, and then if there's any questions in the audience, we'll go for a Q&A. So I guess, like, looking forward, what do we believe is the most important UX development that's needed to really take Web3 to the mainstream across the next 5 years? So really future thinking, what is the one thing that is going to be, maybe not the silver bullet, but take us in that right direction? Who wants to go first on that?
I'm happy to come back to that. What I said earlier was that crypto can only win if we move beyond crypto. And that, I think, is really the part that in the next 5 years, if you take the long-term vision, we need to solve. Like, we really need to build better toolings to enable like the next generation of entrepreneurs, of business owners, to decide to build on blockchain rails, not because they are doing a crypto business, but because it's offering them a cheaper, more efficient, more transparent solution to raise capital, to have a real-time accounting, to internalize revenue for market making, to do all those things that to spin out a legal wrapper, to collect fiat payments and to disperse private payment, crypto to fiat, fiat to crypto very easily. All of that at a fraction of the cost that it would cost if they were to set up that as a traditional business. And I think that's really what we need as an industry to do, to be able to really onboard not just the next 100 million users, but the next 7 billion users, because eventually the entire economy transition from being just in this traditional banking financial rail into this new, better economic system.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point. I can see my founders sat in the front row down there, but they are, by their own admission, Web2 people coming into the Web3 space, and the dream of it makes sense, right? The ability to raise funds, the benefits of the Web3 ideology. There's so many benefits of it, but at the minute, navigating that and speaking on behalf of them is really hard, right? Like, getting your way through it is really difficult. There's lots of murkiness, lots of uncertainty, lots of new things to discover. And if we can clean that up and make it better, there's so much power in there. And the great thing is about events like this is you meet people, you shake hands with people, and you meet real connections who can help and drive this space forward. And I think this is a really important thing that we should be embracing to raise those standards by coming to these kind of spaces, sharing thoughts, sharing ideas, sharing our GitHubs, our protocols, all this kind of thing, and really driving the industry forward becomes really, really important. And I think it's a great vision to have. Is there anything you guys wanted to add on that?
I don't know if it's going to be I don't think it's going to take 5 years to get here, but I really like the idea of having a chat interface with an AI trained on obviously this industry where I can just say, buy me this, trade this for this, set up a limit order for this. I don't want this NFT anymore, list it for me on OpenSea or Squid or what have you. Like, it just, the fact that I need, it's not obviously overly cumbersome, but like if you're in a really fast environment, just being able to tell your virtual assistant to do this and handle that instead of multiple clicks and finding the right interface and stuff like that, I think that'd be really, really cool. I don't think it's going to take 5 years to get there. Like I said, I'd like to see those sorts of interfaces applied to our own core apps at Reef and some other interfaces, apps this year. But I'm not a developer, so I don't know how hard that is. But AI discoverability of good earning opportunities in DeFi, and like I said, just having a chat interface, whether it's in the wallet or it's on a specific app interface, and just say, sell as much of this for this other token, and it just kind of goes, and it's got, it can either click through on its own or get that process completed without my intervention. I think that'd be really, really cool, and would open up, or just would make things easier for me. Maybe not faster, but definitely easier.
Nice. Anything to add, Michael or Serena?
I think, so it's like two things that I've already mentioned, I think. So UX, UI, because today really in the space you have like three categories of UX, UI. You either have good UX, UI and bad tech, or you have good tech and bad UX, UI, or everything is bad. And that very often, unfortunately, happens in the space. So at Venga, we're trying to build one of the best UX, UI apps out there. And also, last thing to mention, and I've already mentioned it, is discoverability. It's super important to get, let's say, everything that's happening here to the masses, right? Just convey the message of, hey, there's all of these cool projects. I've spoken to, I don't know how many people in the past 2 days, and everyone's working on something so cool. How do we get that to the people, right? Get that to the people. Tell them about everything that's happening, right? Vet these projects for them. That's the most important, is discoverability. And that goes hand in hand with user experience and design and education.
Nice. That's a really good point. Yeah, I really like that. Serena?
I want to talk about like the design UX side. So, we have different regions users. For example, like we have many Korean users, we have users from the MENA region, and we also have users from the Europe users. So, like the layout and content style is like completely different, and the users from different regions, all they want to see is all like different contents. So we deep dive into like the cultural, like what kind of contents that might suit this region's users. So we just prepare different campaigns, different posters to meet their needs. And so the design in Web3 shouldn't be happen in a vacuum.
Nice. Amazing. Thank you very much. Well, we'll leave it there for my questions to the panel as I drop my phone. But is there any questions from the audience as we enter the last 3 minutes? One question from you there, sir.
My friend.
Microphone on its way.
So my question is, it's okay? So it's ready to onboarding users from Web 2 to Web 3. I think one of the most
can you talk a little bit louder?
One of the most important thing is making them accept the transfer of responsibility. So basically, when you speak about the Web3 wallet, you have to make them understand that they are responsible 100% of their funds and of their assets. I mean, some users actually reject Web3 because they trust already centralized and established institution far better than themselves.
I didn't hear any of that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Can you put it like right up to your mouth?
Like that?
Yeah, there you
Okay. Sorry about this. So, I was speaking about the acceptance of the transfer of responsibility. So, when you actually onboard users from Web 2 to Web 3, you have to make them understand that they're 100% responsible for their assets and their tokens. So, some Web 2 users don't actually accept that responsibility, and they far trust an already established institution like a bank or something like that.
Okay, I can take that. So I think at the end, self-sovereignty is a spectrum, and we cannot, everything should be opt-in at the end. If you have different people with different sensitivity to this topic and different risk profiles, and I think it's just a matter of individual responsibility to decide if you want to be in charge of your own token, of your own assets in self-custody. Of course, we can create tools to improve recovery of private key and this type of things. But there is also a wide spectrum of users that may prefer to delegate this responsibility to a centralized entity. And that's why it's great to have people like Venga and like yourself building like tech that is still centralized and that's handle part of this risk for you. So I think it doesn't have to be like a very extreme vision of zero or nothing. It's a spectrum and up to everyone.
Nice one, thank you. Lovely question.
I'll just add, add real quick. Yes, absolutely. Everything should be opt-in. We're never going to force everybody to get on Web3, and that's fine. There are ways to put them in control and help them secure their wallet in a fairly secure way. Obviously, if they've enabled something like advanced data protection for their Apple ID, you could conceivably put it in their cloud, and they're the only ones who have the recovery key. I'm not going to say that's the best approach, so don't flame me. But you can do that, and But ultimately, yeah, it's up to them. If they don't want to join, they don't need to join.
Right, well, we'll leave it there because we are nearly at the time. So I just want to say thank you very much for joining us here at Web3 Amsterdam. Thank you very much for my wonderful panel. We will be available on the left-hand side if you've got any questions. If not, find us on the usual places. Thank you very much. See you soon.
Ladies and gentlemen, there we are. All hands
you,
together
everyone.
for our panelists, our moderator. Once again, a healthy, productive discussion on stage. And again, you're curious, you'd like to know more. I'm sure every single one of the panelists would be more than happy to have a chat with you if you want to take things forward as well. In the meantime, those of you on to the next panel, can you please join us over by the crew on the left-hand side? If you're on the next panel, please, and the moderator,